He keeps you honest, and he elevated the character in every way.
Should we expect a wow line from him? Will he say the word wow at one point in the show?
I keep seeing the memes and I ask myself, I'm like, is it in there?
I'm Greg.
And I'm John.
We are the Real Rejects.
Guys.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for taking time to talk with us today.
Thank you all for having me.
We don't mean this in any hyperbolic way at all. We only saw the first episode of this so far. And out of the 3 live action Marvel shows this year, this was easily our most anticipated. And when we say this, we mean it. This was the best pilot out of the 3 live action Marvel shows we've seen so far. It literally gave us everything we wanted and more. So you just keep kicking ass. That's what you do.
Thank you, guys. Is that the end of the interview? Thank you so much.
That's the end. Thank you, Michael. Just wanted to compliment you.
Great. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that.
Of course. John, you want to ask the first question?
Absolutely. So, obviously we've seen a version of Loki play out from the first Thor through Infinity War. Do you think that your version of Loki, this version of the character, will be the definitive one? And do you even want that mantle on your shoulders?
That's a good question. I mean, I think time will tell, truly. There was the version of Loki that went through that arc all the way up to Infinity War. He did perhaps have some sort of quasi redemption,
right?
But here we are picking up with Loki at what I would say is his most arch. He just got his ass handed to him by the Avengers. He's desperate. He's a little humiliated, and we're going to send him on a totally different journey. It was very important to me that we told a new story with Loki, and we didn't just do something that the fans had seen before, and that was something very important to Tom and Kate as well. So does this guy become the definitive version? Can there be a definitive version of Loki? Maybe
that's the question. With that in mind, one thing we really loved about especially from the first episode, was like the deconstruction, the psychological sort of like existential exploration of Loki just as a person in the first episode. Being the writer, like, what is it about his identity that you specifically wanted to bring to the table or to explore, as to not just repeat the same type of character arc like you were just talking about?
Yeah, I think it was because I knew, look, we're doing TV now. And here we are, we're taking a blockbuster supervillain, and we're going to have 6 episodes with this guy, which means we can live in these quieter moments and actually go in depth in the character in a way that maybe you can't in a 2.5-hour movie. And that means more introspection, more self-reflection and everything. And that was my goal with it.
I think from the first episode, that's what kind of reminded me of like that Jurassic Park scene when they're debating about should they do the ethics of the dinosaur stuff. Like the scenes with Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston were just fantastically written.
And speaking of Owen Wilson, I mean,
transition
so perfectly cast as Mobius. Did you have his voice in your head at all? Like, at what stage were you writing for him versus just writing this character? And did Owen Wilson, engage with you in that process at all?
Yeah, I mean, no, I was writing Mobius initially without anybody in mind, thinking kind of like a Tom Hanks kind of character.
I can also see that.
I love that. Yeah.
Not thinking about casting Tom Hanks, but the sort of character that Tom Hanks would have played back in the day. And that was just inspired casting, from Kate, our directors, Kevin Wright, our creative producer, and then Sarah Finn, our casting director. They brought Owen on relatively close to the start of production. And then I got to spend time with Owen talking about the character, going through the scripts and everything. Owen is a great writer in his own right. So if there was anything half-assed in the script, you best believe he was going to call it out, which is good. He keeps you honest, and he elevated the character in every way.
Should we expect a wow line from him? Will he say the word wow at one point in the show?
I keep seeing the memes, and I've asked myself, I'm like, is it in there? But look, in the same way that people are looking for big cameos, maybe that can be the most anticipated moment of the whole show.
Probably,
yeah, absolutely.
Sure. I guess I'll end it with this. I'm sure you've been asked about this quite a bit, but you are also a writer on Doctor Strange too. Did it help having like that extra insight into the future of the MCU multiverse? And how were you able to maintain your focus on Loki despite working, it sounds like, extensively on both projects?
Yeah, I mean, of course, with the MCU, the more projects you work on and the more you've done, the easier your life is, because you just understand the world and the stories being told better. My focus was very much on Loki, and it's like it wasn't until the writing in that was really felt like it was in a good place that things picked up on Doctor Strange.
Interesting.
So, you always just want each project to be great individually on its own, and then they kind of naturally feed into one another.
That makes sense. Well, on all sincerity, we love the hell out of this.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Really excited to continue.
And we also, and yes, and I'm sure many people have paid you this compliment already, but we've seen all the Rick and Morty. We're big Rick and Morty fans too. So like this show just is like, this is us. This is our show right here. This was the Marvel show we wanted.
So, hopefully we keep it going over the next few.
Absolutely believe so. Thank you so much for your time. I know you got a busy schedule. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Have a good day.
Take care.